Hello, I'm Elsie Normington and welcome to Elsie's Extracts. Today we want to look at another Bible hero, the beautiful lady called Esther. And before we do that, I just want to take a moment just to reflect on the last 63 weeks, which is the length of time that we've been living through this coronavirus pandemic. And now at week 63, it's looking much more hopeful and brighter. Over 38 million people have been vaccinated, and shops and churches, community places and places of interest are all beginning to open up again, and we feel that normality is coming, which is really wonderful because it has been such a very long time. However, I want to ask you today, I wonder what you've learned during that time. I wonder how you've grown. Did you develop any new skills? And it's important to look back through such a dark time in our lives just to see how we have grown. And I wonder what we've been thinking during that time, because it says in the book of Proverbs 23 verse 7, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So what we think in our minds and in our hearts and spirits, that's what comes out of our mouths. And so it's really important to listen to what we've been saying, because that's what we've been thinking inside. Well, I just want to take a moment to look at this beautiful woman called Esther. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Esther was in fact an orphan, and Mordecai was her cousin, and so this was the daughter of Mordecai's uncle, and he had taken Esther in to live in his own family. But as we all know, Esther was chosen to go to the palace, and in fact she became queen. And when there was a very evil plot revealed to Mordecai, there was plans to actually massacre the whole of the Jewish nation. It was a very, very wicked plot. Mordecai was in great distress and concern for the nation of Israel. And as a result, he came and spoke to Esther. And he said this to Esther. He said, "Do not think to yourself that in the king's palace you will escape any more than any of the other Jews. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this." And so what I want to say here is the fact that God was working in the background. And we don't always see God working in our lives. We pray for things, we talk to God, we tell him about what's in our hearts, but we don't always see what God is doing in the background. However, here we have Esther, and as you know, Esther fasted and prayed with her maidens, and then she went and she spoke to the king, and as a result the plot was averted, and the evil men, they were paid to all their plans, and as a result the Jewish nation was saved, because God was working in the background. And what a wonderful triumph it was for the nation of Israel that they were saved from that annihilation. And so now we are living in a time in history that's been unprecedented. It's not just something that's hit our own country, it's hit all the countries of the world, and we constantly hear it on the news, all the different new variants that are coming up and all the different spikes that are happening all over the world, and how countries are responding. And I wonder how you have responded. I wonder if you've looked to God as your provider. And if you have found that God has been with you because he's been working in the background, it's time to be thankful to God. So whether it was physical provision or emotional support or spiritual encouragement, whatever it was that you received from God, I encourage you today to be thankful to God, because God has been with us throughout this pandemic. And I know for myself, my prayer life has really accelerated because I've constantly been throwing myself on God and praying to him and talking to him to get me through this pandemic. And so I just want to say to you today, wherever you are on the continuum of this pandemic journey, I encourage you to worship God and give thanks to him, because he is always working in the background. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.